Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming on time. Okay, so it's 3 minutes past full hour. Welcome to the Communion of Practice meeting of change practitioners by Silfra Consulting. My name is Piotr Paris, and I will be your host today. And let's jump into the agenda right away. After short introductions, we'll hear from Krzysztof Ogonowski, our CEO and also most advanced instructor and consultant, who is celebrating 10th years anniversary of running procesie change management certification courses last
Oldest,
September.
you mean? Oldest is the most appropriate word.
No, I think Michał is older than.
Okay.
And then we'll hear from Maja Walicka, our alumni from how do you call it, Maja? Is it 3M or triple M or
3M.
Minnesota Mining Manufacturing?
Yes, correct.
So
Triple
is
M.
it 3M or triple M or
3M. 3M.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from Activating Change Agents Network, and then we'll have an invitation for you to join our small groups to discuss this area of change management by engaging change agents in your organization. And if you don't have change agents at your organization, let's make an exercise on how we could design it and deliver. We'll make a short wrap-up afterwards and collection of ideas for next edition. We should be done in under 90 minutes. So here I hand over to Krzysztof.
Thank you, Piotr. Hello, everyone. I hope you hear me well.
Loud and clear.
Yes, good. So, okay, some of us have challenges, technical. So, okay, we have a recording. Today, guys, the topic is about change agents or change ambassadors, just key influencers. And I think it would be good to, before we listen to Maya case, it would be good also to give you some thoughts from some of our projects, from procesie as well, and from our practitioners, what this role could be about, how it is used in change. And I think it would be great at the end of this session so that we can come up to a few conclusions how we can utilize presence of change agents better even for success of our project. So let's do it from this perspective. And let me first present you a few thoughts about that topic for the introduction. So first, what is the definition of change agent network? Sometimes people say, practitioners say, this is the body of change champions. So a group of people who are leading something, not in hierarchy, but by topic. So some leaders of implementation streams, for example, leaders of projects, leaders of new ideas. Then it could be also network from impacted individuals, so people whose ways of working to be changed. Sometimes these are representatives of the hierarchy also, and sometimes influential leaders. So whenever we say change agent network, we may face different understanding. And I also would add to that, sometimes those networks or those agents are defined that they are agents. Like, for example, there are ambassadors, and I think, Maya, you will speak about the case of ambassadors per se, so somebody who was in this role. I think we can realize also that we sometimes have ambassadors who don't have formally the role, but they play this role. For example, key users in digital projects, not necessarily, or super users, they not necessarily are designed to be ambassadors or change agents, but by definition, they are influencing others. So you can say, if you are unconsciously an ambassador, you may miss a little bit the ambassador's job, but still you will perform the role of the one who is a reference person, reference point, reference model. The other situation that we face very often is when people are involved in solution design. They're working in some streams, so then they come back to work to talk to their colleagues, and we want it or not, whether we want it or not, they spread out the word about the project, about the topics, about how they are doing, what they are doing. So that's why I think it's good to keep in mind that we can have conscious and unconscious ambassadors, and consciously we can manage them, and unconsciously as well. So I would refer to mostly the first case, but also let's keep in mind the second case, because they will influence anyway. And that's why it's very important. How many organizations use change agent networks by procesie? Please, guys, drop your answer in the chat. What do you think is the state of the art in global research? Would be good to, Jakub, you put B, Magda 22, also B, Ella B, 10% even. Yes. B. Hi, C. Yes, I've been waiting for C because that's by procesie research. It doesn't mean it's like that on the whole earth. Anya also indicated C, but generally it's 43. I would say it's quite a lot, and it means it's consciously, is this conscious part of change agent networks. There is this role. So yes, I would say it's a lot. And then of course we should think in how many projects those organizations are using change agents. Maybe in 1 of 10, maybe in 1 of 100, maybe in 20 out of 20. This we don't know, but still we can say this role is pretty much popular anyway. Another thing is, what are the roles of change agents? Majority, and of course, you will not sum it up to 100% because it could be either or. So majority, it's about communication regarding change, but also it's providing implementation support and training, and also role modeling. So these are the 3 top roles of change agent networks. But also there are some expectations. So those are performed roles, and these are the expectations. And you may remember Lawrence of Arabia, the great movie. Also, it's based on facts. So for me personally, it's really great story about a British officer who was change agent of, at that time, I think it was His Majesty, not Her Majesty government, but he was, that was about the king, and he was representing Great Britain in Arabia to rise the uprising against Turks, I think, during the First World War. He was change agent, in fact, and he was very successful. I recommend you to see the movie. So generally, we can say that top 5 expectations are about advocating for the change, being knowledgeable about solution, and participate, identify resistance and report it back to the team, communicate messages regarding the change, and provide training and coaching on the change, and some other, of course, expectations. So you can say that between what is expected and what is done in reality, there is some gap. Definitely those expectations, I would say, are more to be state, are more designed, because I think for me personally, it all resonates. It would be great if we have so many agents here and there that we could have feedback from. That would be great. The other thing is how change agents are being selected by free will. I want to be a change agent. Okay, go on and move on. Then credibility. Who has some track record of being maybe a good change agent in the past, or maybe being a good colleague, being good technically, whoever, regarding credibility in the project. Then knowledgeable about a specific topic. For example, people who have already worked on those solutions that we are developing now, they could be. And also nomination, like, okay, supervisors, managers, give us 1 or 2 names in your team. Who could that be? These are the ways of selecting. I think Maya will also refer to how your change agents were selected. I would say it's a rather combination of methods than just one. And I would like to refer to that also, what are traps and good sides of those, because then let's have a look at 6 top challenges for change agents. This also, I hope, Maya, that you can here and there refer to that, because I know that in your case you have reference to some of those topics. And also the participants, we would like to invite you to discuss some of those topics, not all of them, but some of those topics later on during breakout discussion, because I think it would be really great to see how you see those things. So together with Maya, we will try to share our experience, but this is just limited to what we did only. But would be great to have the discussion. Piotr then will lead together with us it later on. So first, let's have a look at the scope of the role. That could be the challenge. What the scope of the role be? And of course, it's about which tasks to do by ambassadors and what they should navigate towards. Let's say what to achieve. And then let's try to put on Atka glasses. So I would say, yes, Atka, thank you so much. My Atka glasses are here as well, yes. And a little bit worn because Atka is just a little bit of, yes, here, but still we can see. So putting on Atka glasses, of course, you know that we are making those stupid jokes during the program. It's just to look for this perspective. So let's look for the perspective of Atka. What roles could ambassadors have? Raise awareness. Oh yes, definitely, to strengthen the message from the top guys, for example, to support to discuss with colleagues why it is important now, what we can lose if we don't implement that. Desire, I would say, yes, definitely. It's very frequent that we expect from ambassadors. They are expected to identify and manage resistance, both knowledge and ability to hands-on support for colleagues, to create practical ability and delivering some internal trainings or preparing training materials or testing new solution and giving feedback, all of that. And then reinforcing, of course, after go live, being support, being troubleshooters, collecting knowledge, accumulating this knowledge. So I would say from Atka perspective, in fact, we can employ them everywhere. In fact, we can consider what is the most fruitful. Like, if we would like to focus on knowledge ability, it's good because they could be experts. But then the question is, if we have taken care of awareness and desire part, because then if change agents are working when people don't have the will, it's really challenging, because their will also is part of the will of the team. So as we sometimes call awareness and desire will, and then we have the skill part, then it could be a challenge how we play with that in terms of their role and activities and the sequence of activities, because sometimes I saw several cases when change agents were just given a training, given a knowledge, and then make meetings in your team. But these were first real serious meetings about the change. So they didn't know from their supervisors, they haven't heard it, employees from sponsors, and then change ambassadors can have some challenges. So I would say take care about the scope of the responsibility and about sequence. I think this is really important, not only to focus on some elements and some tasks by this. So that would be one thing to consider, and definitely Atka is important. Also, if we talk about Atka from the perspective of the role of ambassadors, do they have awareness or desire to perform the role? So that could be also important. Then how to recruit the right people for the role. It's very frequent, I would say, what we observe, that the wrong profiles are being selected. Let's have a look at this. How do you recruit change agents? We asked our participants of one seminar voluntarily, and just whoever comes voluntarily, but some activities has been required, like, for example, justifying why am I a good candidate for that, or proving what I've done that makes me good candidate for or passing some just test or whatever survey, supervisor's nomination or HR nomination. And please have a look. That was the distribution more or less. So majority of our surveyed by us people, they said we just take whoever comes. We say we want ambassadors and we take whoever comes. And I think you can think, ladies and gentlemen, about some drawbacks, about some limitations of this method. Then volunteering with some activity required. So let's say 80% or 80+% of our participants of our survey just take whoever comes with some required activity. And then I think it's really important that whatever we say about, and I hope Maya that you will comment on that, and I hope that there will be some discussion in groups later on, whatever we say about recruiting change agents, it should be rather mix of methods probably, because in fact we need two kinds of people who would be knowledgeable and who will be perceived as experts by others. So that would be also, so knowledgeable may mean those who can get the knowledge or have already the knowledge, and others will respect this knowledge. And then the other thing is those who are well linked with others, those who could be authority for colleagues in terms of source of information, credible source of information. So one professional impact and the other criteria social impact. So whatever we can do to detect whether people have this content oriented impact and then social impact would be important. And I would generally say the two worst methods are either voluntarily whoever comes with no restrictions, or just ask supervisors nomination with no restrictions, no selection, because then in first case we can have people who are not willing to support us, but who just are curious about things and maybe are bored with other stuff. And at the other hand, we can face people who from supervisors who are, for example, and I faced it several times, who are not busy with stuff, who are not good that much to be busy, to be overloaded. So supervisors say, okay, you go. I don't want you. I have no idea what you can do in my team, so I push you a little bit towards being a change agent. It happens sometimes as well, or sometimes also supervisors delegate people who are the best in the team, and they have zero time, so they are overloaded generally. So I would say use either of those two methods without any other support. That's the worst choice, I guess, that you could do from our experience. Then another challenge is benefit for what's in it for me, for change agents. I think today we can consider at least 5 areas that could be, I would say, again, I don't want to say it is how it goes in the projects. It is what might it be, what is available. And of course, the first that comes to our mind is give them some money. I remember the discussion we had with one of client of our partner is we need some ambassadors for new IT system. Let me not mention which system, which institution. And they say, okay, what incentive? Let's give them some additional money. So I think either we think about money, or we induct thinking about money, or we try to limit our thinking about benefits for ambassadors for some tangible benefits, for some extra money. Well, I would say number one idea that comes to our mind is that being an ambassador is the key competency for the future, because the changes will be more and more digitization, more introduction of AI, more changes generally. We are saturated with changes. So becoming an ambassador is really a good competency for the future, because you can support other changes as well. Then you can develop important skills, like, for example, having knowledge about AdCar, being knowledgeable about how to implement changes, being knowledgeable about some other stuff, like, for example, I know that in some cases, change ambassadors were taught how to teach others, or how to coach others, or how to work by asking questions. So we can say a little bit of coaching skills. All they were taught how to manage resistance, how to understand and manage resistance, how to communicate using simple language. So very good, important skills that could be very helpful. For example, we also sometimes give them one day training, one day workshop, which is taking charge of change. One day, 6 to 8 hour workshops for change ambassadors. They could work on their project. So it's just like some part of 3-day program that some of you might know, but just from very specific angle and crafted, let's say, to tailor to 1 day format. Also, it could be helpful for them. Then elaborating personal skills, I would say, to embrace change, because I think we are today in organizations when more and more changes are coming. And I think also exercising change muscle is very important for all of us. So like, not just like I'm blindly searching for changes. I just would like to change something just for changing anything. But I think being aware of what happens around us, what happens in the environment of our business, and why those changes are happening, and wisely choosing our personal path also for the future, how to embrace those changes, how to follow them. This is really, I think, very important, and how to perceive opportunities where others see threats. I think, like for example, with more and more, I see massive automation and AI implementation, and then people are afraid of that. While some other people could say, okay, so it pushes me out to learn new things with higher value added to the company, with higher value added to my job, with less repeatable work and more conceptual work. Of course, it takes time, but still I can exercise my change muscle, which means I can better adapt to various situations. Then chance for inspiration. I think in many cases we also face people who are really even tired, exhausted, even burned out sometimes. I don't even mean burn out by things like COVID and the external situation, but also many people are put into the box, into the silo, into the one topic thing. So that's chance for inspiration outside of the box role, and then opportunity for being noticed. First part of my professional career was connected with project management. And I really saw many people getting promoted very quickly when they could prove that they could deliver projects in an excellent way. I think for you also, it was, for some of you, was also this career path. And for change agents, I think that's exactly the same, let's say, kind of opportunity to be noticed by some other colleagues, to be noticed by the supervisor, to be noticed by some sponsors in the company, to get promoted. I think that's reasonable benefit. And of course, you can think about other benefits, but those are available. Those are being discussed also among ambassadors. And when I talk to people about that, it resonates with them. So please also think, because we're going to ask you the question, what's in it for your ambassadors in your cases? And I think, Maya, you will also highlight this, how it was in your case. By this, I would like to say that we don't have to have resources for rewarding only. We need to have an idea of rewarding, and we need to understand what in a given context is really most valuable to people. Like I know, for example, I'm working right now at one project when for people, the reward is that at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. they can just close their computers, switch off Teams and go back home, or just switch back home, let's say, if this is remote work. So that could be also somehow the benefit. So we need to understand and recognize what is the environment. And coming to conclusion, how to activate them and keep high level of engagement. I think there are two aspects. One is about the skills, and the other is about empowerment. So that was the question that we asked participants of our webinar some time ago. And then I would like to ask you guys, what do you think about your companies? Please let's not guess how it is in others' organizations. In your organization, please type, what do you think, those of you who have change agents in the organization, how do you perceive their activity in terms of how many of them are active in their role? Active, whatever you would like to say, what does it mean to be active? So, Ola, you put C. Jakub, D, although we don't have permanent change agents, but recruit them, yes, per activity. Linda, C, D, Anna, C, Valdemar, you have D, good. A, Violetta, Marta, you also have, and Piotr, also you have A. So guys, please type further, just let me indicate how it was, what was the distribution. So generally, my observation was not that hard, maybe, but generally it was like, I would say if anyone asks me 3 o'clock in the night and I wake up and I don't know what's going around, how many change agents on average are active, I would say less than half. I would say less than half of those people are really contributing as we would like to. So the question is what we can do to activate them. I remember in one case, we had 400 change agents. I was advising at the time, so I was the change, let's say strategic change management, on strategic change management advisory, not hands-on job. So there was one person in project team who was responsible for activating those 400 change agents. Not full-time, that was not full-time job, but for example, together we designed the program of activation. We tried to give them some interesting stuff to build awareness, to build desire, to build knowledge, ability, and then reinforce. So generally, we were using ADKAR, and there was a series of meetings and inter-agent activities also in their teams. So we programmed their preparation activities and then field activities. They had some tools, they had some also surveys, they had some program of activity, and it was not obligatory. Those who wanted could do it, but we noticed that let's say the rate of change agents who were active increased much more after we clarified what we expect, after we gave them some program, after we gave them also some tools. So it looked like by definition, because at the beginning, it was when I arrived at this project, it was like there were agents and they were doing something and we did not know exactly what they were doing. We just knew what was set for them to be done. And when I asked this question, so how many of them are active? Then people from the project said, we don't know what they are doing. We don't know. They just knew out of 400 ambassadors, they knew just some, because some of them were ambassadors as well. So they just knew individuals, but there was no systematic thinking. So we changed it a little bit and it helped a lot. But still, guys, you can expect that majority of this potential sleeps. That's my conclusion, without proper action. So you need to put some effort into that. And I think that this empowerment, this is important, because when we look at the PCT representation of roles in change, so you remember maybe PCT, process change triangle, it used to be project change triangle, now it's process change triangle, which has 4 dimensions, because let's say people inside with the success definition, but then let's focus on the 3 angles: leadership, sponsorship, project management, and change management. And if we think about the roles that are on those angles, so sponsorship is from sponsors, from people managers, but also from sponsor coalition members, from key influencers. Then project management can come also from solution developers, subject matter experts, and change management can come also from change agent network. So we can see they are some part of a puzzle, of a bigger puzzle. And for example, their relationship with somebody in the change management team who cares about them, who guides them, who helps them. Then relationship very important with people managers, because usually change agents are located, somewhere in the organization. So there are some people who have people managers and colleague as a change agent to help them. So that's also very important, how this relationship look like. And I would say these are two most important relationships that in change agent could have, apart from others, of course, that you can think of. But if you think which other roles in the change they could be dependent on, and you can think what this dependency, what does this link mean, and what we should do to support this link, then it's pretty easy to figure out what change agents should do, how they should be linked. For example, simple with people managers. We need to care that people managers are well aligned with change agents network activity, are not against, for example, that they see the benefit, they see that they want it, not only by nominating change agents, but by knowing what they should do, knowing what they will do, knowing how they can support. So I will easily say people managers can raise awareness and desire, and then allow change agents to act, to work on solidify awareness and desire of people, and then supporting knowledge and ability. I'm using abbreviations of ADKAR. I hope that is pretty clear for you, because we assume that significant part of our, let's say, our people who are present here, participants, are practitioners. If it's not clear please just let me know. But it looks so far like there are no questions. So then I will assume anyway that we have to empower change agents. We have to link them, and for example, we can link them also with training expert. So there is a person who could be a training expert in the team. That could be another, if the training role is part of change agent role. Also linking change agents with subject matter experts. It could be also important because then it will be like those subject matter experts can give knowledge to change agents, or can give answers. So generally, I would say it is really good to make a quick mapping of those interactions and those interrelations to think how we can help change agents. And for example, in this case that I described to you, the 400 people, we also made it like one session for change agent network was dedicated only to discussing those topics of other roles that are in dependency with and in link with change agent network, and what change agents need to be successful versus those roles, what we can do. So this is also empowering them and allowing them to think in a system way, not just I have users and I have to support those users. No, it's not like that. It's much more. So this is also very, very important. And sorry. And this is, I think, the last, yes, this is the last thing I wanted to say, not just taking more of my time. But anyway, guys, I think there could be more challenges, but let's have this discussion at the end. But let's also listen to Maya now about the challenges that she faced in her case, about how she coped with that, so we can go deeper into the topic. And I also look forward to discussion at the end. Thank you very much, Maya. The floor is yours. Or I